The Menagerie is Destiny's new main PvE activity that has come with the Season of Opulence, and it employs raid mechanics in random different encounters, which you then complete for points, and then once you get enough points, you fight the final boss. So there are a multitude of different encounters in the Menagerie, so a multitude of different weapons can be used here. There are a few of the best though, and that is what is going to be covered in this video today. The Menagerie can get quite challenging, especially once the light level is bumped up to 720 and even further beyond that. I'm sure most of us are 720 or below. Only the top, I don't even know, like 10%, not even, top 5% are actually above 720, which means the Menagerie can get pretty difficult at times, and you'll need to know what the best loadouts are if you want to be successful. Just to preface, a lot of the loadouts I suggest involve pinnacle weapons from past seasons. It just so happens that pinnacle weapons are very, very good, and yeah. So guys, for a primary weapon, I would recommend a few different things. The first of which I would recommend is Breakneck. Breakneck was Black Armory's Gambit pinnacle weapon, and this weapon is extremely good at clearing ads, and once you get it to Rampage ×3, it can be a deadly killing machine against more powerful enemies such as knights and ogres, and can even deal some boss damage if there's nobody else around to do it to. There are a lot of ads in the Menagerie, especially in certain encounters, and this makes it so your Rampage will basically never run out. I mean, I have not had a trouble with Rampage at all in the Menagerie, and you'll be doing a ton of damage, and especially once you get Rampage stacked up, that'll help a lot when the enemies have higher light. Another weapon that I would recommend is the Outbreak Perfected. The Outbreak Perfected is extremely good once again at clearing ads. It has Outlaw, so you have a fast reload. There's not much downtime, so you can always be dishing out bullets. And plus, the Siva Swarm is good for large groups of ads and can even do decent boss damage as long as you're making sure to hit consecutive precision hits. The Outbreak Prime is overall pretty effective for dealing with larger enemies, as well as having a quick reload so it can deal with a large amount of hordes. The Mountaintop is absolutely amazing at this point, especially if you're a Warlock with Lunafaction boots. This is mostly where it applies, or a Titan with Rally Barrier. Both of these things are really, really good. The Mountaintop can absolutely dish out tons of damage to bosses. It is so good for clearing ads. I mean, this thing is absolutely insane. And of course, it is in a primary slot, so you don't sacrifice a lot of other stuff. Mountaintop, of course, also fires in a direct line, so you can sit back pretty far, unlike other grenade launchers, and just absolutely spam the hell out of bosses and stuff like that. The boss damage for the Mountaintop is absolutely crazy, and you shouldn't run out of ammo as it takes primary. And the last primary weapon I'm going to recommend to you is the Arbalest. The linear fusion rifle. This thing is really good because it can break all types of shields, which is always useful for a PvE activity, and it can do decent boss damage. Now, this isn't really for clearing ads like a lot of other weapons are good for. This is mostly for boss damage or for a more powerful enemy. Pretty much all of these weapons are pretty meta right now. They just nerfed a whole bunch of different exotics, and I probably won't be including any of those in this video just because they aren't as good anymore. But moving on to energy weapons, as you see in the gameplay here, I am using the Recluse. I've been using the Recluse ever since I got it last season. It is absolutely insane for PvE. You get one kill on an enemy, and all of a sudden your gun is freaking insane. You can do so much damage to so many ads with this. The only drawback is that you do have to use it at closer range. That's why in this video I've been using the Arbalest and the Recluse, because the Arbalest I can stay back a little bit, where the Recluse I can go in. So don't be too aggressive with the Recluse, but it can be extremely good for clearing more powerful enemies. This really isn't for boss DPS at all, but can absolutely rip through smaller enemies. The Jotun recently just got nerfed to its damage. It's the only thing that was nerfed. Unfortunately, not as good as it once was, but is still extremely effective. This thing, you can sit back pretty far and do really good boss damage. Less good for clearing ads, but the boss damage that you get out of this thing is pretty insane. Of course, it is solar and it does take special ammo. I didn't really find struggle too much to find special ammo within the Menagerie, except really for this final boss fight, where you can lack a little bit of special ammo, but overall you should have enough special ammo to take care of any of these weapons. The Jotun, just you get a lot of value for your special ammo because it used to do a ton of damage for the amount of special ammo that you had, but now it does slightly less, but it's still a really good choice because the damage to ammo ratio is so good. So I would recommend snipers, or I would recommend a mix of long range and short range, as a lot of encounters you need some longer range stuff for boss fights, because if you get up to some of these bosses, they will one-shot melee you just because of the higher light and difficulty. So there are a lot of snipers in the special slot that you can choose from. There are even a few snipers in the primary slot. I wouldn't really recommend any specific legendary, but if you have something with triple tap, that's normally pretty good. For heavy weapons, the Prospector seems to be really good right now, especially since a lot of other stuff like Whisper was just nerfed. Although, getting to Whisper, I will get to Whisper right after I finish Prospector, but Prospector is extremely good just for boss damage. It's pretty insane, especially if you're behind a rally barricade. You can just hold down the trigger and this grenade launcher will absolutely go in on any boss. Can also be used to clear ads if you want to, but I would once again just recommend this for boss damage. Machine guns are also pretty good in the heavy slot. Hammerhead and 21% Delirium probably being the best. 21% Delirium I personally like for this a little bit more, just because it's better for ad clear than Hammerhead. Hammerhead can still be decent for ad clear, but 21% Delirium, when you're ripping through ads, it is just so nice because of the faster fire rate. And then of course you can hold more ammo, and it can overload the mag, which is absolutely fantastic. And of course the 21% Delirium can also be used for boss damage like the Hammerhead, but either of them are really good. But if you have a good roll on the Hammerhead, you know, still use that. Both of them are fine. And Whisper of the WoRm has been nerfed in this update, unfortunately, but it could probably still be viable if you don't really have a machine gun you like using, or you don't have the Prospector. Whisper of the WoRm, instead of using a legendary sniper in your primary or secondary slot, I would recommend Whisper of the WoRm for this, and then maybe running Recluse and Mountaintop or something like that. Whisper of the WoRm can still be effective, you just have to make sure you're hitting your shots a little bit more with this new update. So those are all the weapons I would recommend. When it comes to subclasses, I feel like each class has its own winner. Warlocks, I feel like Well of Radiance works extremely well for this, as it does in most PvE activities. Just all the bonuses it provides you, it heals you so much, it keeps you up through so much, it's so useful. With Lunafaction boots, your Well of Radiance becomes just a great tool for DPS. And then of course you have Empowering Rifts with Warlocks, which are always really good. Healing Rifts can also be good, but Well of Radiance I feel like is most important for Warlocks. For Titans, anything Sunbreaker with a melting point. Honestly, Titans don't have too much of a place in the meta right now, but Sunbreaker, the super, is great for clearing ads, and then of course Melting Point is good for boss damage or stronger enemies. Hunters, I was using Shards of Galanor and Blade Barrage in this footage. I probably would not recommend this. I'd probably run with Orpheus Rig Tether, so you can be generating a little bit more orbs for your team, as well as getting back your own super. Tether is also super effective as it immobilizes and suppresses a lot of ads, which you will be seeing a good amount of hordes, and sometimes it gets pretty hairy, and the suppression just helps to slow everything down, helps you get your bearings a little bit. So I would definitely recommend Tether with Orpheus Rig. So guys, those are the subclasses, supers, and weapons I would recommend. If you guys have been successful with anything, please just let me know what you've been successful with, and tell me if you think anything that I said is wrong. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe for more Void Bastards and Destiny 2 guides, as that is what I've been playing recently. It's what I've been having fun with, and I will continue to put out videos. Next video for Destiny will probably either be a weapon review, or I don't even know, something new. And Void Bastards, probably another guide on another weapon. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe. It's been DRX. Peace. You come around, 'cause I never can leave it alone. Talking about somebody rolling, boulevard dining, making it count for efforts I can't explain. Balling and feeling we drowning, never been humbled by playing the fighter.